I'm not coughing.
Welcome to the Uns Hangout with Dan Kurtz, Jamie Shields, and Joel Stouffer of the Live Electronic Legends, The New Deal. If you've got any questions for these guys, please leave them in the Facebook comments section below or tweet them to us at the Uns or at the New Deal Band with the hashtag AskTheNewDeal. Let's go ahead and get started. First of all, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. Where do we find ourselves today?
We're in Toronto. We're in the studio making New Deal music for everybody out there. We're in Canada. We're loving it.
Rent studio.
In Canada, in Toronto, at Jamie's studio.
That's super exciting. So does that mean that there's studio work being done, or is this more rehearsing for the live shows that you have upcoming?
Oh, this is studio work, but it's stuff that we pretty much listened back to a couple of last shows that we've done, and we pulled some things that we wrote there, and we're just trying to turn them into songs here in the studio.
Replaying them and just jamming out grooves to create something for some studio releases.
I'm wondering, this will be the first studio recording besides the single that came out, Sabotage the System, in more than 10 years. Is there, is there an impetus? Is there a reason why studio work is coming out now, something that you feel like now is the time for a New Deal record?
Every 10 years, man. Every 10 years we decide to make a couple of tracks. We all now live in the same city, which in the past, Jamie, Darren, and I were living in different countries, and it was hard to get together, and the three of us all like making music in the studio. That's what we tend to do all the time for our day jobs. And so this is like a fun and easy exercise. And I even got to take a nap on the couch like 10 minutes ago, which is a really great way to work. But it's turning out to be a really, it's fun. It's a great way to like take what we've heard of ourselves when we're playing live and do something now with, as opposed to be like, oh yeah, let's try and remember that groove sometime later and play it live. We can actually try and do something now and make a song out of it with no mistakes.
Well, that's different, huh? That's different from New Deal shows. Jamie,
which are full of mistakes.
Jamie, when you sit down to write music in the studio, is there a pattern to how the stuff has been coming out? Are you listening to the live recordings and say, okay, let's take this section and let's take this section, let's lose this? Or has it been happening a little bit more organically than that?
Well, I think the word might be shambolically, which is kind of how we maneuver through our musical existence. It's not even that organized, kind of like the live shows. We just kind of step up and play, and then the studio stuff. I think it's more like we hear something that we liked, and then we just go and play it for a while and see what else we get out of it here in the studio in this sort of a controlled environment sonically. We'll hear something that we play live and well, that's pretty cool. We should turn that into a track. And that's about it. We won't go pick other pieces really from the show. It's just we find something that sort of hits us on a gut level, and then we'll try and start with that and expand it into something else, using that sort of as the basis. With a lot of mistakes.
Joel, I'm wondering, this will be your first record with the New Deal. How are Dan and Jamie letting you ease into the process, or is it just straight up horrible hazing that's happening right now?
We make him operate the Pro Tools.
While we nap on the couch.
I've become studio lackey. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's easy. We just kind of set up and go. It's just like, yeah, it's been pretty easy transition from live to studio, to be honest. I mean, the only difference obviously being no audience to give you immediate feedback, so there's a lot more question marks. Is this good? Is this good?
Yeah.
Should we get rid of this? Should we keep this? How long should this section be? Usually we can just read the audience right away and know, okay, this is boring, let's move on to something different now. But yeah, I think other than that, the playing is the same and studio environment for us.
Now that you've taken some of these sections, workshopped them in the studio, and perfected them, for lack of a better term. Is it fun to then take that polished section and reinterpret it live once you go hit the stage again? I imagine now you've gotten a chance to take some of that back and forth now.
Well, if it were true New Deal, we would never play it again live, and because we had forgotten everything that we had done in the studio. But yeah, we're looking forward to remembering some of this stuff. It's always a bit of a challenge. The thing is, when we play live, I mean, we've had over the years, like, you know, there were times where we're gonna like play a cover, or we're gonna do this, or we're gonna like definitely play this one song in the middle of a set, and it can feel the most unnatural thing ever to like try and wedge like a pre-arranged piece into what we're doing on stage. And so, you know, like, the short answer is, yeah, of course we want to do that. The hard answer is like how to do that with the same fluidity that we ironically just make stuff up on stage. Like, you think it would be easier to be like, oh, for the next 10 minutes I don't have to think about anything, I'm just going to play exactly the thing that I played on this record. But in fact, that's way more difficult than like just playing whatever's coming to mind. So yeah, we'll get there. It'll probably take more work than anything we've ever done to play the studio stuff live.
And also, a lot of people who are into the band like to hear different versions of these kinds of tracks. You know, if night after night, or if they come out to different shows, if they hear the same thing in that regard, it's like, well, you know, I kind of heard that yesterday. Don't need to hear it again today. So, you know, I mean, so much of what we play is improvised. We have a lot of themes that are maybe 2 minutes long. That'll be the same if we play it twice in a row. But, you know, the rest of the show, the other, you know, 85% of 2.5 hours or whatever is made up. So, and I know that comes from our knowledge that that's how we want to do it, and I know that that's how a lot of people want to hear it. So we kind of, as Dan said, we kind of reached that argument where it's like, well, do we want to play it the same way every night, or do we want to just kind of approach the main idea of it and then abuse it and take it somewhere else? And I think we just fall to that and say, yeah, let's just play the main part of it and then let's just jam it out a different way. That's kind of how it worked for our studio stuff in the past.
Sure, sure. I'm wondering, what is your approach to a club date versus maybe a festival date, whereas a club date may be populated by huge hardcore New Deal fans, and a festival set is more of a showcase for newcomers who are, you know, maybe heard of you or seen you once. What's that approach like?
The only difference is usually just the amount of time we're allotted to play. If we have our own show and we have the freedom to play 2 sets and each one can be, you know, an hour, 15 minutes, then we got a lot of time to kind of just let it unfurl and, you know, just let it all hang out and see where it takes us. But we have found that if we take that approach in the festival, we see where it takes us, and where it takes us is to the end of the set where it's time to leave. So we kind of have to cut it a little short in that regard and kind of give people a nice dose of what the New Deal can be, but in an hour or 45-minute set or whatever it is that we have at a festival. Unless it's like one of those like 2.5-hour deals that we do at 2:30 in the morning, then we just let it rip. But if it's like, you know, an early evening or, you know, middle of the evening kind of gig where we have an hour, then we kind of shorten it up a little and we kind of get to the point a little more, but still kind of keep it as the New Deal with a lot of improv and still a lot of, you know, heavy beats and stuff like that. Just keep it short.
To that end, we were thrilled to learn that the New Deal would be playing Euphoria in Austin, Texas, coming up in April, alongside Pretty Lights and Ghostland Observatory, STS9, Thievery Corporation, fellow Canadians Adventure Club. Dan, it's got to be a thrill to play on a stacked lineup like that, especially with a lot of your friends in the music industry.
Yeah, well, for us, playing a show, period, is always a thrill. Playing festivals in particular is like, when you were asking that question about what's the difference between playing a festival and playing a show, I was like, oh, well, you shit bricks at a festival and you just play a regular show at a club.
You shit regular.
Yeah, very regular. And I think for the festival, especially like playing with bands that have been in the scene or artists that have been in the scene for a long time, it's always fun to like see what's happened since the last, you know, in some cases 3 years since we last saw them play. And it's fun to feel like part of an evolution that otherwise I think you we can feel like we exist in our own little bubble. Like it's a great way to like reconnect with what other people are doing in the scene and hear what the music sounds like, and then also try and bring your best game forward. Like I don't think we're very competitive people. It's not about that, but it's like you want to honor the festival, and you want to like take advantage of the opportunity. And so yeah, I always think like, man, I got to play a really good show at this festival. So the club shows, whatever. No.
When has the New Deal last been in Texas? I can't remember Texas being a huge jam enclave.
It's got 10 years. Like, we had played Austin probably 4 or 5 times in the past. We played at La Zona Rosa a couple times. We played at Stubbs. We played Austin City Limits. And we probably played somewhere else that I can't. We did we played at South by Southwest one year. So I might say 5 or 6 times. Nowhere near enough times. But it's like, Texas is far away.
But the food is great.
The food, barbecue's great. I fall asleep before the show, after dinner, before the show, every time.
And that'll help you shit your festival bricks.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I can see the caption for this, like, for this whole chat going on, like the New Deal, shitting bricks in Texas. I think we're really on to something now.
If that hasn't grossed anybody out who's watching, we will let you know. If you comment below on the landing page and tell the New Deal why you deserve 2 tickets to Euphoria Music Festival in Austin, Texas, the first second weekend in April, actually, we'll pick a winner from there, and I gotta imagine the winner will have to mention the shitting bricks part. So I'll keep that special for you guys. Before you head to Texas in April, you've got 3 dates in Colorado at the end of this month, up in Aspen, in Boulder, and in Denver. Why is Colorado so special for you guys?
It's Colorado.
Yeah, and they're direct flights. And no, we've played a lot of shows there, and it's been like, I mean, I think we played in Boulder like in the first like 2 years of being the New Deal, which for a bunch of Canadian boys from the East Coast, that felt like the other side of the planet. And ever since the first time we played there, it's always been a really great scene for us. There's like a lot of like-minded people there, people who like our music and tend to like music in general. That we can go and do 3 dates in one state in places pretty much close to each other suggests that's a pretty high concentration of people who like music there. I don't know. It has maybe something to do with what they're smoking out there, but
maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, we've just always gone to Colorado. I guess we'll keep going.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. We're gonna start taking some fan questions now. The first is from Rave Cupcake. What are the items you cannot live without when you're on the road? Joel, let's start with you. What are your necessary items?
Beard trimmer.
I actually forget that all the time. It's a combination of it's all about the plane. It's all about being able to sleep on the plane. So it's the neck pillow. I'm the annoying guy with the neck pillow and the mask and everything and the earplugs. I'm that douchebag. That's me. That's my way I can get over the hangover the next day on the flight home. Oh, you lost your banner.
Your banner fell
down. Yeah, it did. We'll deal with that.
It still says
put it up.
Yeah. What else, Joel? It's just the neck pillow.
That's priority.
And
yeah, those three.
And
emergency.
And a Bloody Mary.
Fire scene.
Do you get where he's going with this?
Those are the essential items. I will grant that.
Yeah.
Jamie, do you have any special things you need with you on the road?
No, I'm bored easily, so if I don't have something to read, then I'm even crankier than usual. Dan will attest to that. So finding magazines that entertain my fancy.
Paris Match, People.
Yeah, the Russian review of books.
Yeah.
As it's tough to do on the road sometimes, so I just try and make sure I have some sort of big rock biography or jazz biography or something musically related that can help pass the time. Because then I keep my mouth shut and they don't bother anybody because I got my face buried in a book. That's about the only thing I need when I travel.
I need some rock biography suggestions. I know that Nikki
Man.
I got
This is the guy to ask for
I got a
sure.
library over here. I got to have 50, maybe more. I can help you out. I know a guy.
What's the most raucous one besides, of course, the Motley Crue bio?
I'm going to go look. Well, I got a couple Van Halen ones, but I'm going to go look at
Other than the one that Jamie's writing about himself right now. And the New Deal. Gotta feel like,
Dan, what are your necessary items?
all I need is Jamie and Joel and a little bit of love.
A little bit of love.
A phone charger.
Jamie Joel on a phone charger.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the band.
Yeah, we travel pretty light. We have each other and and a lot of love.
And 4 crew. Okay, I gotta travel with those guys.
Oh
too.
yeah.
Can't travel without those dudes.
Can't travel without those dudes.
Without Kevin, without Marlo, without Justin, without David. Those are the 4 items we need to travel with.
That is true. Forget everything we said. That's it.
We'd be like lost little lambs walking into like doors and stuff in circles, chasing our own tails.
Justin
and how
helped.
long have you been with Kevin now?
Oh,
Kevin came in. Kevin is like easily. I mean, he's a huge part of how the New Deal became. Like, he happened to the very first show that Darren, Jamie, and I played after we kind of got fired from this acid jazz house band, House for you Americans, house band that we were playing in. We had been jamming a little bit too outside, a little too blue, and we went and played in this like basement dive where Kevin was the sound guy, and we asked him.
We didn't know him.
And we didn't know him, but we asked him to record the show on a cassette, and Kevin.
I'm sorry, a what?
It's a K7.
It's all over.
And it was and his mixing of our show. He had never heard us before, and he basically did like a live dub remix of like this first ever New Deal show. And we listened to the tape. We're like, holy fuck, this guy's amazing. And we're amazing, and so we made that album, This Is Live, that Kevin basically mixed live to a 2-track cassette, and he was our sound guy ever since.
And that was in '98.
98.
It was with us since gig 1, just by chance.
Yeah. And it's only because of his seniority that we keep him around.
Yeah.
Kevin, if you're listening.
There are sound engineers everywhere clamoring to go on the road with the New Deal and spend some time with you.
They must be emailing to an old email address. I've never heard from anybody. But maybe it's just out of too much respect for Kevin, also known as Professor MSG, or he's recently evolved.
Chrysler Soze.
He's Chrysler Soze.
It's a long story.
Yeah.
It's a long story.
Yeah. He keeps his group something tight.
We won't bore fans with that.
No.
I wonder, Joel, you might be the only person who can answer this. What's the difference between Dragonette Dan and the New Deal Dan?
Oh, boy.
Not much, really.
Papa Bear.
You know what? I think Dan worries less in the New Deal.
That's because I got 4 guys worrying for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We actually use the same crew for the most part with Dragonette. So touring with either band feels remarkably similar. And sometimes I call Jamie Martina just out of habit.
In the dark.
And it gets a little confusing, but
I'm cool with it.
The one big difference is I write set lists, or Joel writes set lists, but I review them for Dragonette, and we don't do that for the New Deal. That's pretty much the same thing.
Not writing set lists because we ain't got none.
Yeah.
That's easier setup for the show. That's one less thing to worry about.
We've never ever talked about the show before we play. Like, we'll be side stage talking about dinner. Or
First rule of New Deal: don't talk about New Deal.
Don't talk about New Deal, exactly. Never talk about the show. Don't know what we're going to start with. Don't know what we're going to end with. And but we always somehow figure it out. When they turn on the lights and say, "Get the hell out! Stop playing," that's how we end.
That's a good signal. That's a useful signal.
What's happening?
We've got another fan question in. CJ Woods wants to know, what is the strangest thing you have experienced on the road? And this might go hand in hand with it. Where was it? Jamie, does any one thing stand out to you, a weird situation that you got involved with?
There's been a lot of weird situations. Um, Getting lost in New Orleans at 5:30 in the morning, where I was walking down the street with some of my band members and some of my crew members, and I was relying on them to get me back to. I think we had a tour bus at the time to get me back to the tour bus. And I made a turn, and they didn't make the turn, and I didn't know that they weren't behind me for about a block. And when I turned around, they weren't there. I had no money. I did not know where I was. I did not know where the tour bus was. And I was not really particularly
Fucked up at the
in
time.
my fullest faculties as to what direction I was heading. That was strange, and it took me about an hour at about 5:30 in the morning in downtown New Orleans to figure out where I was supposed to be, and that was so strange that I didn't leave the tour bus again for 6 months.
That's called post-traumatic New Orleans disorder.
If there's a place to be lost at 5:30 in the morning,
Yeah, that's a good one, right?
It's not that place.
Yeah, right.
Although you could get yourself into a lot of fun trouble versus
I had
drifting.
It's the best place on earth
I
to
had
be
no
lost
money.
at 5:30 in the
No
morning.
money, no ID, and I didn't know where I was.
And you didn't know your name.
And I knew my name.
The money
I knew my
thing,
name.
the money thing's a bit of an issue, but
And
I'm
I had
sure
my
you could have
lawyer's
found
phone
some
number.
friendly folk.
Had my lawyer's phone number, so I knew that in the end I could sue somebody if I needed to.
That's how you get out of a city. That's good. Dan, what about you? Strangest road experience?
Dude, I don't know how many of them I feel like I can talk about, but yeah, I actually my strangest experience is not in the New Deal. It was in Dragonet, and it was in Lebanon, and it was involving Lebanese military police and a very, very tight schedule to get to the airport. And I feel so grateful that I'm here.
And I'd like to thank the Lebanese military
Yeah.
police.
Yeah, for the scar on the back of my arm.
Yeah.
No, we've after a while, I think everything just becomes rather like anything. You get prepared for anything. The New Deal's been playing for what, 15 years? We played like over 1,000 shows. Dragonet's played 700 or something like that. We've been to some crazy places as people, and what I think for most people would induce a heart attack is like, oh man, we're gonna be like 15 minutes late for sound check. And that's how you. That's part of the fun of being in a band, is what you never thought would happen to you and did, like Lebanese military police. No comment.
Oh man, that is not the place to be messing with the military. I'll just say that. Nicole is asking, what are you most excited about for 2015? Joel,
Christmas.
what's on your plate? What are you excited about?
Just playing more shows and releasing some music, getting some more tracks under our belt in the studio, and it's just every show since this lineup started up has been more exciting, more fun, better, and I just want to keep doing that, you know.
We kept the touring schedule kind of light since we started in July. It was kind of like, okay, let's sort of ease into this. This is like a new thing, and let's play, and then let's assess, and let's see how are people digging it? Should we keep going? Are we digging it? Should we keep going? Is there a reason? And then we figured it out about around the end of November, around the time of our Philly, New York shows, and down in the Dominican holidays. It was like, yeah, this is working, and let's book a bunch of shows. So now we've kind of taken that bull by the horns, and we just announced some shows today for Pittsburgh and Brooklyn Bowl and Baltimore in April. We got a bunch of other shows coming up for April and May, and presumably June and July, and we'll just be playing a lot more than we were. So I think that's one thing that we're all looking forward to, is to be able to play a bunch more shows, because we found we just get better when we play more. I mean, if you play too much, you can get a little sick of it, but we'll make sure we don't do that. Like, you hit a wall, we'll make sure we stop before the wall. Get a lot farther ahead than we were in 2014.
Sure. And we do have a fan question in. Will that Dominican holiday set be released? The fans want it.
Dan, will it be released?
I haven't. It didn't get recorded.
It didn't get recorded, man.
We've been
We like, there's like it's the equivalent of like a piece of, like when you made mixtapes and you take your tape out of the tape deck and like the entire tape was unraveled and torn inside the spindles of your cassette machine. That's effectively what happened on a digital level with the
Which is
recording of
really
that show.
sad because that was a pretty special gig, and it would have been nice just personally to have that for posterity. But
so we're considering going back in time, but until that happens, there is no holidays recording.
And we're bent. Well, all three of us are so bent about it. Like, we try not to talk about it because I know Joel and I have been like,
it's been
just
tough.
the gods decided that.
There was all the shows at the end of last year were really good.
Like
there was
all
the Philly, New York shows, the Dominican, everything was, and it was just fail after fail for some reason with the recording rig, and we basically have like a triple redundant, like, there's no way we're not going to leave a show without it recorded from now on, because those were some pretty special shows, and we were pretty bummed that we don't have them.
But there are photos.
There are photos. We will sign a seal of authenticity.
We were there. Yeah, it's actually, I was like trying to figure out my body language while these guys are talking about it, and I was like looking away. I was like, I can't think about this. So anyway, we don't have it. It sucks. We're really sorry. Next year it'll be.
We'll play the exact same set next year. Exactly.
No, it'll be better.
It will be better.
That's why you've got to get down to Dominican holidays. That's why you got to get your ticket.
That's why you got to come to the shows, man.
Yeah.
No recording can leave there.
It's also why you got to come to the shows, man. It's like, the recordings are good, and I enjoy listening to them, but dude, like with the light show and with the sound and everything, it's a full body experience.
And the Red Bull.
And the Red Bull.
Yeah.
It's a full body experience, and it's not replicated with a recording. It's good to remind yourself of what you enjoyed there, but the live experience is it.
Absolutely. That's what the New Deal is all about, and always has been. You guys have 3 dates in Colorado at the end of the month. Then you've got Euphoria in April in Austin. And again, if you comment below, you can win yourself a couple of tickets if you are able to flatter the New Deal enough, if you are able to honor them enough. Maybe that'll work. Or a sob story also works too. And after that, that's right, you guys released some more dates, Pittsburgh and back to Brooklyn Bowl in Brooklyn. And there's more dates to come. So Dan Kurtz, Jamie Shields, Joel Stouffer, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Pleasure.
Right on. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
We'll have more of these live Q&As with theUns.com coming your way soon. Stay tuned, and thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.